Okay, so the next ceremony we did was a tobacco ceremony, but it was like in between the day we're supposed to have rest. So we didn't really get to have rest because ayahuasca finished the third time at 3 in the morning. And by the time you get to bed, it's like 4 and you have to be up at like, well, you don't have to be, but we were up at 8. Well, I got up at 6 because of sunlight. So you had like 3 hours sleep or 2 hours sleep. And then you have your breakfast, your meditation or whatever. And then you have your circle where you talk about things. So basically, that lasted the whole day. And then it was like 5 o'clock. And they were like, you can do a tobacco ceremony if you want. You've got 5 minutes to shower and come back. And we literally just showered, come back, had dinner. And they explained what it was going to be about. But we didn't know it was going to be so dangerous. Anyway, let's talk about it. So we sat down. We were very joyful, happy, smiling. My friend who I talked about, who I made friends with, was very, very in a good place. The one who had all the angelic beings around her. She got so many downloads throughout the sessions about how she wants to do her purpose, her life. And she was very, very excited to return. And we were going to meet up once a month or so in London. And I was very happy. But that day she was quite tired. And, I told you that there was lots of issues going on. So she explained them to the organizers. And she was just letting that all out. Anyway, the tobacco ceremony was going to start, but not everybody showed up. And one of the facilitators decided not to show up, which was a grave mistake because they should, I believe, been there. Anyway, the tobacco ceremony involves this tobacco that they put into water in a cup, and it doesn't taste very nice. You got to drink it very quickly, and it helps to purge you. So you vomit, okay? And you have to vomit. Well, you must vomit. It does come out. But you purge all your issues. All your issues that you've got, you purge them, and it comes out. It's amazing because ayahuasca, one ceremony of that, so one cup is like 10 years of therapy. So we were doing 4, which is like 40 years. And then the tobacco helps with the ceremonies too. Anyway, so everyone got their cup, so I drank mine. I did it in sips. They said drink it all in one gulp. It was too big, and I didn't mind it. And I was very peaceful with it. It was very calming and relaxing. The medicine speaks to you. And this was a father tobacco, so divine masculine energy, and is very calming and soothing. And the medicine speaks to you in the way you speak to yourself. So if you love yourself, it does the same. And I made my requests, and my requests were to work through my daddy issues, to work through my gluten, celiac disease, and to work through issues with my twin flame, any sort of jealousy or ego or any sort of limitations. Just remove it all, right? But I also requested that the purging starts after 2 minutes and only goes on for 30 minutes so I can leave and go to my room. But I should have been more specific and said once in my room to stop working or whatever, but it didn't. Anyway, so I was sitting there very peaceful, and the messages were coming very kind and loving. And I felt the need to go to the toilet 2 times, to do a number 2. That was my digestive stuff coming out, basically, and that was fine. Then when I sat back down, one of the participants started to not be able to breathe, and they asked for help, and no one was going over. So even though I was intoxicated, I was like, can you please help her? So I started helping her because she could not breathe, and I thought she's going to die. And basically, they helped her a little bit. But then my friend, who I told you who had the angelic beings around her, she screamed out, and she said, help me, help me. And they weren't listening. So I was like, can you go and help her, please? And then she was like, I'm burning up. I'm burning up. What have you done to me? And then she collapsed and she fainted. And then she never got up. Okay. And they were trying to help her. They didn't put her into recovery position, but they were, at one point they were doing, is it called CPR, when they're pumping the heart. So I knew something serious had happened, and I thought she had died, which is obviously very serious. Anyway, it got us scared because we thought if one is not being able to breathe, one is fainted, is this the effects? Are we going to feel the same? Anyway, I kept breathing because remember I said get out the head and go into the heart space, into the soul, and you keep breathing and you keep breathing and you keep breathing. So I kept on doing that with all the stuff that was going on around. The men who were doing the ceremony seemed quite calm, but the women were getting affected because it's a masculine energy they were drinking. Maybe there was something to do with that. I purged, so I vomited a few times, and I let out lots of stuff to do with jealousy and judgment, especially to do with how I felt when I heard other people and my own self thinking about the way in which the the place I'm staying in, which is called Peshawar, is being organized and managed and not equally taking care of everyone, and no safeguarding and safety stuff here. So I kept doing the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And I kept saying that towards the facilitators because the one of them knew that I was talking about them and they were not happy, basically. Anyway, so I finished my purging and I wanted to go. It had been half an hour, and there was another guy next to me who also his room is right next to mine. We're in the jungle, I'll show you in a second. But we basically we just left. But I was very concerned by everybody because there was another girl, the one who was scratching herself and was in a darkened room, was literally lying in her bucket and no one was helping her. The other girl started breathing, but the one who had collapsed on the floor, the shaman was calling in the hospital, basically. It was serious. But everyone else was like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. And I was like, no, I think she's died. So we got up, we left, and we went back to the rooms. And when I got back to the room, I felt like really sickly, but I decided to sleep. But when I would lay on my back, I felt fine. And when I lay on my back, I get nightmares, actually. And no one told us we were going to get nightmares, but we did. But when I laid on my side, my stomach felt really terrible. I felt like I needed to puke. So I kept coming out from under the mosquito net to go to the bathroom, into the bucket. Nothing was coming out. So then I went back to sleep, and it was so uncomfortable because so painful and crampy. Cramps were happening. I slept for 2 hours. And then basically I woke up at midnight and I felt my father issues were going to come out. And medicine was like, are you ready to release? And I said, I release, because I kept saying, I trust you and I'm wanting to participate in this. So I went to the bathroom and I puked out my guts. And it was so amazing to let go of all issues to my father. It was absolutely amazing. And then I kind of dragged myself from the floor and I went to sleep, but I left the bucket there, and then I had flies around the bucket. So then I threw the bucket outside, well, the liquid outside, because he meant to put it into the earth, and then I washed the bucket, and then I went to sleep again. So getting in and out of the mosquito net is a challenge, I tell you, because you have to tuck it under the mattress. And then I tried to sleep, but it was because I had puked now, but I still was in a bit of pain, and no one told us really. Well, they did tell us you can start getting hallucinations with it, okay? And when I fell asleep, I had nightmares. Well, I had one nightmare, and it was not even a nightmare, but whatever. It felt like that when I woke up, especially. So the dream was that I was in Edinburgh Airport, and I missed my flight. And my bags and all my things were out my bags, and I was trying to put them in, and people being rude, especially men. And the shaman said that throughout the ceremony, I was working on my divine masculine energy because my divine feminine energy was pure, ancestrally as well. But I was working on my divine masculine energy from an ancestral perspective, so my father's line, I guess. So that makes sense from the dream. And when I woke up from the dream, it was very scary. I don't know why it was very scary, because everyone was like being mean to me. I didn't know whether I was in the real world or whether I was awake or still asleep. Like I couldn't figure it out, which was really scary, actually. So then I basically stayed awake. So I only literally slept an hour or two, and only slept an hour or two. I stayed awake because I couldn't sleep, and I tried to breathe and get myself into reality. I think by now it was like 5 o'clock, and at 6 the sun comes up. So I just let the sun come up, and I was very worried about the participant who was unconscious on the floor, right? And breakfast is 8 till 11, come whenever you want. Lunch is at 1, dinner's at 6. For lunch and dinner, they do the bell, the thing they do, the Tibetan bowl. But at 8 o'clock, they kept banging it. 8:30, they kept banging it, which means come. Said something's gone here, something's gone on, because that participant was not good. And I knew she had died, right, last night. And then this morning I knew as well. I said, they wouldn't be ringing the bell. So I went to her room. She's staying with a roommate. I got my own room. And I said, did she come back? No. Did they tell you what happened to her? No, which is not great. They should have told her. Did you go there? Yep. Did they speak to you? No, which they should have done. I was like, did they take her stuff? No. Okay, so she's not in hospital then. So what's going on? Where is she? And then I was like, the girl didn't want to go. She had issues with the facilitators and all the things going on here as mismanagement, whatever else is going, the lack of safety. I was like, come with me. She didn't want to go. And as we were leaving, the shaman was coming with one of the facilitators to the room. And then they confirmed what I already knew when I woke up in the morning when the bell was going on, that she's dead and the retreat is over. We're not going to get to have our last session. We're not going to get to have our last session of ayahuasca, which would have been today. And I knew that as soon as I got up. So they explained everything. They tried CPR. She had a heart attack. The ambulance came 10 minutes late. They didn't have any medical equipment here, which is terrible, right? There was like protest, so the roads are blocked, so the ambulance was late. 10 minutes later, they came 10 minutes before, she would have survived. She had a heart attack. And it's obviously heartbreaking and heart-wrenching and sad, because this person was really lovely and very joyful, very similar to my energy and happiness and joy and love. And it's sad to see that good person die, despite many of us giving them pre-warnings so many times about the facilitator's behavior, about the lack of safety, about this and that and the other. And they accepted, but they didn't do anything about it. Okay. So to have a retreat and someone die, I mean, I have seen other ayahuasca places, they said that people have died, but that's usually because they have a precondition or they've taken something like drugs before. But here it's never happened apparently before. Anyway, so then we came to have breakfast and everyone talked. But me and the other girl were quite, and also my friend who died, we used to be quite vocal and say whatever's on our mind. So we told the shaman and facilitator, you need this, this, and this. Where's your safeguarding, your risk assessment, the fireplace, fire focal point, etc. Blah 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 blah. And then we came to breakfast and told everyone was talking about what was happening. And then I mentioned about the safety rules that we've told them, and they looked at me as I was crazy, the participants. But anyway, the retreat is over, so they've told us to pack up, which we have, and some people are going back to the airport. Some people are cutting short their backpacking trips and going back to their home countries because they're traumatized. I'm going to stay here with 2 people. Not this retreat, we're going to the village to stay in a hotel to get out of here, and then go to La Paz, which is the capital of Bolivia. But it did build a bit of fear in me because I'm doing lots of other retreats too. But the other retreats, they have doctors and they have nurses and there's a lot of things. But here they didn't even give us safety when we arrived. Where's the fire safety point? What happens? I saw a white snake. There's alligators and crocodiles that come under my place. You know, wild animals. They haven't explained any of what to do. They just said don't touch them. But what if they come and attack you? You know, so yeah, a lot of mismanagement going on here. Anyway, hopefully get some refund and the family gets some sort of money as well, and maybe they'll sue. I don't know, whatever. But throughout the night, the messages I got from the tobacco, and then later I spoke to my friend's spirit as well, who passed away. So the messages from the tobacco came that whilst I was in the center, I kept saying the forgiveness prayer, Ho'oponopono, towards everybody. I also released my digestive issues. And then when I came to my room, my father issues. But it also said to me, choose a divine partner. Don't go for someone who's not divine. And then I asked about my twin flame. They said, yeah, he's getting there. He's not there yet, but we're going to send you a soulmate for the time being. I was like, okay, because you deserve to be treated the best, because you're amazing. And the energy of the medicine was very loving and pure for me. It wasn't scary like what happened to the others. But anyway, we are leaving today, and it's quite sad that we're not going to finish all together. One of us has died. It's insane. But we came here and we did a little prayer for her. Just grab a book. We did a little prayer for her, and I'm going to show you. I've got a few lines. I'm going to show you a little bit the outside. Okay. So the retreat center is over there. That's the shaman and the steps of my friend. And then you could see that's the beautiful lake. Okay. Sun is shining. It's very hot. It's like 36 degrees, maybe 37. And this is the name of the place. So, yeah, I wanted to share with you our tobacco session. Leave your comments below.